Hey, welcome to Troll Time. I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis, aka the Troll King, and this is a show where we talk sports, movies, or anything thought provoking. Today we'll be talking about the 2025 NCAA Women's Tournament. We'll be recapping some of the games from the first couple of rounds. And then Juju Watkins' injury last night, unfortunately, we'll be discussing that. Coach Larry Vickers from Norfolk State is now taking over at Auburn. We'll get into that. Holly Rowe made some rather unique comments that got a lot of people up in an uproar, but as the Troll King myself, I thought it was pretty funny. Jaylen Daniels' mom, is she doing too much? We'll get into that. And Aaliyah Chavez, she committed to Oklahoma today. Y'all know I don't do this show alone. I got my trusty sidekicks with me. Hey, Willie, Bordy McBoards, how y'all doing?
Good. My voice is darn near tattered out because of all the excitement that we saw this weekend. So I can't wait to get into it because there's a couple highs and one really bad low, but we'll talk about that later.
Right. Hey, Willie, how you doing?
I'm not doing well.
I can get it. Just to get started, we'll hop right into the women's NCAA tournament. Of course, now they're in the Sweet 16. We got Duke, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, NC State, LSU, UCLA, Ole Miss, TCU, Notre Dame, Texas, and Tennessee, and then UConn, Oklahoma, and Southern Cal, and Kansas State. Just wanted to, just talk about a few games that were on the radar for me. It wasn't a lot to see early. But the most anticipated game I looked forward to seeing was the Louisville and TCU game. Haley Van Lith playing against her old, her former team. Also for Haley, this is her third Sweet 16 by three different teams. Louisville, LSU, and now TCU as they went on ahead to defeat Louisville. I think it was 85-70. But that particular day, that was Sunday to me was the best slate of games. I just wanted to, highlight that game, but then you also had Duke, Oregon. Thought Michigan would put up just a bit of fight against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame went on there to tap them out. But in Ole Miss, Baylor, and then I'm gonna open up the floor right now, but I know. Kentucky and Kansas State. That probably took the day. I'm gonna pass the ball to you, Bordy. Give your spiel on some of the games that really caught your attention early.
It was a shame that the first day kind of ended up with a little bit more blowouts because I think it started off like hot. You had Iowa State and Michigan, and that's why I believe that Michigan will go ahead and shock some brackets, do a little bit more. Shout out to Silas Orr's amazing year. Audie Crooks and them, Addie Brown, like they stepped up. That was really fun. That was a good game. I feel like every day of the tournament, there was like a big game where I was like, this could be the game of the tournament, right? Maryland had two of them things. Shout out to Norfolk. We're going to get into Norfolk. Norfolk State did their thing. Diamond Johnson, Wheeler, they were hooping, shooting. And of course, that Maryland team went on a bit of a skid, unfortunately, towards the end of the year after losing Bree McDaniels. But they showed a lot of heart, not only in that Norfolk game, but the cinema that happened in that double overtime game. Put some respect on her name. If you don't know her, now you do. Sarah Ashley Barker, man. She's been really in like the weeds, like a ball nowhere type of person. If you really watch Alabama, Alabama didn't get really a lot of love. Even back when she was playing at UGA, she wasn't really getting a lot of love. But now I think she solidified herself. Probably first round, maybe high second round pick. I'm telling you, this draft class is crazy because of players like her, 45, fourth most in the NCAA tournament history. But Maryland stuck through because of the ice cold veins of Tiva Yasu, man. Like, she's a hooper for sure. And she was shooting that thing, huh?
Falling.
Oh, it was and you know what was happening? Band for band, bar for bar, like all of Alabama's, like Essence Cody was out. Who else was out? Aaliyah Nye was out. Everybody was out in that game. Even Smichael was out. But that was crazy. Shout out to TBRC. She's made some of the biggest shots in the last like month out of everybody in like the whole tournament, in the whole NCAA women's game period. And then the other game that was crazy, like you talked about, Kansas State versus Kentucky. Shout out to Pondexter, 6 blocks, 6 3-pointers. Like she was crazy, but part of that was because of Kentucky. Hopefully their defense. They were leaving a lot of people open on the perimeter. But I do want to give all the love in the world to Georgia Amore. This is a player that a lot of like after transferring got a lot of death threats from Virginia Tech fans, ex-fans, former fans. And then also, too, a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be able to thrive in the SEC. And not only was she thriving, she is solidified herself as like one of those girls. I can't wait to see her W career. She really proved how great she is at creating her own shot, but creating shots for all the players around her. She's creative in doing so too. Off the bounce, she's spectacular. So like it was a lot of cinema. Unfortunately, that big Juju news that really hurt and sucked out a lot of momentum because when I say there was so much cinema these first 4 games, even the mid-majors doing the thing with Richmond, go ahead pushing UCLA, like that was good too. It was a lot of fun that happened this weekend, and it's a shame that the Juju injury kind of sucked a little bit of that energy and momentum away. But very fun games that happened this weekend, even if like a very unfun thing just happened at the end of this weekend.
Yeah, just to quick chime in real quick, and I'm gonna pass it to you, Willie. I had mentioned this one time or two when we was talking about Kentucky. If you remember, Willie, about Georgia Amore, I said in order for them to beat an elite team, she was gonna have to shoot better, and 7 for 23 wasn't gonna cut it. I mean, if you look at Kentucky's games, most of the games that they dropped, she didn't shoot particularly well, and that was often a problem. I felt like at times, Claire Schrack would get lost in the sauce when she should get more touches than what she gets. I mean, she makes the most with the least. It was a lot of weight on Georgia Amore, but I felt like they revived Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky was in the dumps last year.
3 wins last season.
Yeah. So I mean, for them to make some type of research, like I think I watched your stream, Bordy, and you mentioned it's going to be interesting to see what type of recruiting Kentucky does, especially. And this is why, to me as a coach, you can't go publicly crying about what another coach is doing at their program, and because recruits pay attention to that. And parents pay attention to that. And I had mentioned before, I said, I wouldn't want my kid going to play for a coach just crying about another coach getting All-Americans because, it's either what are you doing or what are you not doing to attract players to come play at your program. And I mean, let's not act like he's not at a blue blood. Like, I mean, literally Kentucky they're not lacking for resources. If he Yeah, go ahead.
He just lost a big player in Claire Silver too. He just lost a big player in the transfer portal too. So that's another blow.
Hey Willie, I want to hear your take on some of the early games and just what caught your attention.
Y'all covered a lot, so the only game that I'll really talk about is the Duke and Oregon game, because of that's the one that stood out to me because I really wanted to see Deja Kelly against a great defense. And Deja Kelly showed out, right? And Duke's, and I was watching early in the game, and I should have known this from her time at UNC. Duke's physicality didn't bother her one bit, right? It didn't bother her one bit. Whereas other players, if you're not used to that, especially in this short time to prepare, it could get you. But it didn't bother her at all. And she played well. I like to see, I heard some of the things that she said about playing at Oregon really return. This is a recurring theme, right? Where we see these players go to different locales and say, it's returned my love for the game, right? And even though they're going out on a sour note and losing, to see, you can tell that feeling is real because of how they handle the press conference, right? They're not balling, which nothing's wrong with that because it's the end. But her and Georgia Amore handled it the same way, right? So watching that game was very, very telling for me because Oregon gave everything that they had, right? And they didn't lose that game because Duke just buffaloed them. They lost that game because Duke, even with Fournier out, right?
Mhm.
Duke just had more, right? And the interesting thing that I'll say about Duke that I love about Coach Lawson, Kara Lawson, and Duke is this, right? And you all know this, and this came to me when I was watching Duke. A lot of coaches that coach with that very, very intense, we gonna guard the hell out of you, and also to be very, very focused from a defensive standpoint. A lot of those coaches also crash out on players, right? And those players take that same mentality and they are frantic during the game and they panic during the game and they crash out on each other because they take on the mentality of the coach. But other than crashing out on the refs, as much as Duke plays with that type of intensity, Kara Lawson doesn't flash on the players. She flashes on the refs. So when you watch Duke play, they can get down and they never panic because their coach doesn't panic. And even though, and most coaches that are intense and they coach that way, our teams are very intense, they crash out on players too. And the players do that stuff to each other. But she is very, very steady with her players. And so when they get down or they take someone's best shot, and because they may be starting slow and not shooting the ball well, they never panic. Duke never panics because they take on the mentality of the coach. And so that was very, very telling to me when I watched them play Oregon.
Yeah, I think, for those of us who had the benefit of watching Kara Lawson play, she was one of those elite defenders that could score. And often I think that's what you get into, Willie, where you get a lot of these defensive-minded coaches that often pigeonhole the defense. The offense. You get a lot of these defensive-minded coaches who pigeonhole the offense, that doesn't happen in her case because she was one of those players who could do it well on both ends. And they get a lot of, the thing that I thought about the most when all the bickering was going on about All-Americans, coming off the bench, and she has her fair share of good players coming off the bench too that contribute.
That's hurt. Yeah,
and they contribute. Yeah, they contribute.
People complain about Toby coming off the bench all the time, but yeah.
Exactly, they contribute at a high level. And me being a coach for a long time, I understand the game too. You literally, I'd say, who cares about starting? Like literally, who cares? Are you playing starter minutes? Like that? Are you in crunch time to close the game?
Making starter plays, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that too. So I think she's done a great job overall, like managing that because I think I've been seeing a lot of the criticism about Toby coming off the bench, and here they are in a key tournament game. She's not able to play, and players are stepping up left and right. I mean, so and that's something we'll get to when we start talking about these Sweet 16 games, but. Yeah, they want a fun team to watch. I know we've been hard on Coach Yo, me and Willie, but it's no better time than the present. I think pretty much that probably wrapped it up for me as far as we talked about the Kentucky, Kansas State. I was happy to see LSU get it rolling. I say that when they play well. It's really well. When they play bad, it's really bad. Flage looked flawless. I mean, it looked like look like nothing ever happened.
Man, 7 assists. Hello, girl. Who are you? Hello.
Yeah, I said it. I said the more touches she gets in the half court, the harder LSU is going to be able to be beaten. I think it's Smith that played really well. Shemaiah Smith, she had it. If she's Shemaiah Smith, if she's gonna play like that, then that makes them a whole different team. Forget the point guard platooning system. That's gonna be key too. But I think Flage kind of offsets that at times, especially if they can get out in transition. But Shemaiah Smith playing like that. that changes the game. Like, I mean, literally changes the game. And Michaela Williams, I mean, she's knocking it. She was almost perfect from the field. She was 10 for 12 from the field, 3 for 3 from three, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. But I mean, I don't even need that every night. I need her to be efficient, but I don't need the 28. But like I said, Smith stepping up, Morrow and Flage doing what they do. I think that's going to be key for them. LSU has never been the type of team that relies on their depth. Like Mulkey doesn't even coach like that. Even at Baylor, like it wasn't even like that. Her starters play heavy minutes, and kind of segueing into that. It kind of goes into the Ivy situation and Notre Dame. Like the starters play heavy minutes. Like, I mean, it's just that's how some teams are built. Of course, you want it to be situational at this point of the year because you don't want to lose anybody unwarranted. But yeah, the LSU looking scary. Yeah, I think we can hop right over to the Sweet 16 games now. I mean, that we got coming up. Friday's matchup. I'm gonna call out the matchups and then I'll let you guys break it down. We got Duke in North Carolina at 2:30 on ESPN. South Carolina and Maryland at 5 p.m. on ESPN, and NC State and LSU at 7:30 on ESPN, and then UCLA and Ole Miss at 10 p.m. on ESPN. I'm gonna just say that NC State and LSU is gonna be hey that but
And they're both teams that are like, I don't know what version of them I'm gonna see, really,
exactly.
That's the one.
But no, Bordy, I'm gonna pass it over to you. Aside from the NC State and LSU game, give us your analysis on the other three games that take place.
I know a lot of people are real down on UCLA. You would never think they were number one overall seed, the way people talk about UCLA.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna tell you this: I don't think Ole Miss, for whoever their defense, and I think they're gonna play impressive defense. Their biggest problem, and Coach Yell, hopefully we get allegedly, probably, potentially, no tampering, quote unquote, not having Talia Scott in the transfer portal would help them when it comes to actually being able to produce on offense. I don't know if they can. They don't have it consistently enough to beat UCLA, in my opinion. But who knows? Also, too, what were the other ones? The Duke and UNC. I can't wait. That's gonna be ugly as heck. That's gonna be so low scoring. People gonna be clawing at each other, blow for blow. It is gonna be some ugly basketball. What was it? The first game that they played against each other, it was like 8 points in the first quarter for like both teams. I can't wait. Nobody gonna be scoring. It's just gonna be
Boys, they
foul.
need to when they come out boards at OG, they need to because it's 90s style basketball. Both teams need to warm up to 90s music. That's all I want to hear in the warm ups. That's the 90s game.
Come on. I need OGC.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, this is going to be for the tiebreaker. I mean, they split in the regular season, so this is, it's me personally as a coach. I used to hate playing the same team over and over, and see, this is the point where if you were the last team to win, it don't even matter. I mean, because this one is win or go home, but familiar foes. I look for it to be a gritty game. I'm actually, I'm gonna ask you who I'm taking Duke. I just think I just think they got the now. Even with Toby, I'm still taking Duke. Like I like it, depending on what the status of what's going on. Where I still take them. I like Duke. They have more capable scorers to me than North Carolina. I think North Carolina does a great job getting it done by committee, but I still like Reagan. She's can go off at any given time. They just get good play off the bench. Who y'all got?
If Duke can hit it from the 3-point line, Ashlyn Jackson starts cooking.
Yeah.
Reagan is cooking. Like, good things can happen because that's the problem with Duke and UNC. Like, both of them just play games or whether or not they want to hit shots. So that's why it's a scary game to even choose in the first place. But I believe a little bit more in the offensive consistency of them just a little bit. I do want to shout out to somebody who doesn't get enough love, Maria. God dang, man! Like when I tell you, her defense is spectacular. If she could actually hit some shots efficiently too down low, she's crazy good. Her and Indian Navarre really like made this.
Facts.
Just dogs, both of them, like defensive dogs. They could probably do anything if Donarski can hit, but again, like just offensive consistency wise, both of them are questions. I'm a lean more Duke a little bit more, but it's gonna be a dog fight either way, you know.
Got you. Who you got, Willie?
Duke.
All right. The other, I mean, UCLA. I think they'll handle Ole Miss. The one thing I like about Corey Close and UCLA, they don't do a great job at beating themselves. Like you have to beat them. Like I mean, and it's so funny because nobody really talks about UCLA like being that team, even though they are 1 seed. But it's like everybody overlooks them. But I think now is the time. Considering things that have transpired, I think people are going to start taking another look at UCLA. I mean, they got a dominant, big, of course, with Lauren Betts, but I think the perimeter play is something that's very something that shouldn't be overlooked, but is. But I think they'll get it together and probably sweep up this region now, but. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but and then LSU, NC State. Monkey is my girl. I think they'll get past NC State, but I think it's gonna. I think we just saw a 101-71 game. This game definitely I could see being in the 70s, 80s. Depending on who comes out and flexes their muscles first, but. I definitely see it being a high-paced game. Hopefully, the refs stay out of it. We don't see a ton of fouls, and because it's going to be that type of game. But I'm taking LSU in that matchup, and then of course South Carolina. Just too deep. I think Maryland's going to put up a good fight, though. Like this
They did in the regular season.
Yeah, I think if the key with Maryland, if they making shots, I think that's the key with Maryland.
And if Bree Daniel didn't go down, they really like their defensive ability really suffered a little bit from Bree Daniel, and again the shot making too. TBiase was stepped up so much, I saw you get animated when we were talking about her. Big shot. Big shot making too. Man. Like it's not even like, oh, okay, whatever. Cheyenne's always gonna do her thing. Smichael will she can be up and down. She's hooping right now. Her with the bohos. We talk about the bust down facetiously. Kayleen Smichael.
I love the bust down.
Yeah, we love the bust down. But when Kayleen Smichael has the boho braids, she turns into a demon. I don't know what about her. Like she just starts hooping for real. She got it all. She wasn't hooping as bad, but she put it back on, and now it's like a cape. She's like Solomon. She's feeling herself, right? I feel like if Maryland had like Bree McDaniel, they probably could make it a little bit interesting for South Carolina, but nah, dude. You talked about like UCLA. If Kiki Rice has confidence and shoots down her 3-point shot, like that's big. If Dugalich can hit from deep, London Jones keeps on being like efficient. Antamia too, great. Janiyah Barker being a dog and getting rebounds because.
Sometimes I wonder if she knows how good she is a dog. But go ahead.
Like, dude, no, for real though. Like, and I think her and Tamia, like I said, for UCLA and like Lauren, I feel like Kiki and like Lauren sometimes like they can get a little bit heady, but them being like, nah, this is who we are. Like they needed that edge, and Janiyah provides that. And so, like I said, UCLA people. I feel like I'm not one of the only few people that actually like kind of believes in them, but I feel like they can do some good things. And what was the other matchup?
Well, I think Bordy, the last time when I put out the graphic and we had the Final 14s, and I think when we talked about, didn't you talk about switching to UCLA or no?
I did have UCLA.
Okay.
I did have UCLA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was high on UCLA ever since like the beginning because they got all those transfers. I was like, I feel like people sleep on UCLA, and then guess what? They've been pretty good. I've been high on them ever since the beginning of the season because of all their transfers. And what was that other game that we talked about? The one I was missing. Not Maryland, not Duke.
That's it. It was just UCLA, Ole Miss, NC State, LSU.
Yeah, and LSU and NC State. Like if Sanaya, Isaiah, and Madison, like that whole team is as good defensively as they were against Michigan State. Ooh wee, man, that game could be a bloodbath, especially because LSU and half court sets they can be a little bit confused. So Sanaya I feel like doesn't get enough love for being a passing guard. Like she's a legitimate passer, and I feel like people do not give her credit enough for that. But like if they play as good defensively as they did against Michigan State, they can do it against LSU, and it flustered them in their offense too. Because LSU was hooping in a way I haven't seen them. But again, will they get back to old habits when you're pressured? That sometimes happens. I'm worried about that. But battle's coming up.
Well, to your point, like I think the thing that we're gonna see with LSU is like a lot of times when you see in this LSU NC State game, a lot of times when you see great guards offensively, what coaches do in college the most that you can't do in the professional ranks because A, everybody's good, and B, it's a little more open on the W than it is in college. What coaches do in college the most is accentuate your positives and hide your weaknesses. That's what you need to do the most in college, right? So a lot of times when you have great offensive players, you can hide them and put them on non-shooters. What makes this LSU and NC State game so compelling is that neither one of these backcourts can hide. You're gonna have to get buckets and you're gonna have to guard because you got so that's what's gonna make it really, really compelling. And when I say that, it's so crazy to me when we look at this, right? When we talk about NC State, we talk about Isaiah, rightfully so. We talk about Sanaya, rightfully so. Zoe Brooks gets overlooked a lot. And Zoe Brooks is a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hashtag point guard life, right? Like, I love point guards. So to me, Zoe Brooks is LSU's gonna have to contend with her. Now we know that Flau'jae is a great defender. What LSU does on the perimeter, when you have one dog on the perimeter, they take Flau'jae and put her Flau'jae on that guard. Well, who's Flau'jae gonna guard? Right? Like that's the thing because the other thing that NC State's gonna do is they're gonna make Michaela guard. Michaela got a guard,
Right.
right? So this is going to, man, like you said, OG, when you said it, that's why I gravitated to the matchup so much because, man, it's going to be like the defensive matchups, to your point, boards about who's guarded. The defensive matchups are going to tell as much about who wins this game, as much as who's cooking offensively, right? So, like, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking to see what Zoe Brooks does because the thing about Zoe Brooks that it reminds me, it's reminiscent of it makes you think about Flau'jae and Michaela is when you look at Zoe Brooks ain't afraid. Zoe Brooks ain't scared of nothing, right? Like she ain't scared at all. So to me, like, man, like I cannot wait to see this game because of the defensive matchups, who guards who and when. Man, that's going to be like must watch TV for me as a basketball nerd. So I can't wait for this game. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me, Kaylin Gilbert is somebody
Yes.
that she has to be. I think this is a game where she's going to be needed. Like, I mean, especially when you start talking about as good as a defender as Flau'jae is in a game like this where you're going to need, backcourt scoring. Either you can get wore down or potentially get in foul trouble. And I
Right.
think they're going to need another guard who's capable of putting the ball in the bucket to step up. And I think she could be one of those guards for LSU. I think, but on the other end, like I said, if Anissa Morrow can set precedents early, Michaela get the flow in early. Like I said, with LSU, it's all about the half court because in transition they're gonna make things happen. But it's what they do in the half court, and because the half court exposes bad guard play. Transition, you can hide it a little bit, but you can't hide it in the half court. And I think if LSU can get it going like they did last game, I think I really think that it can be a game where the team that gets hot can take off. But I really see it nip and tuck early. But whoever can put on, that 10-12-0 run or whatever can, have some gap. I think that's the team that probably walk away with the victory. But like I say, I'm forever a Mulkey fan. I'm rocking with LSU no matter what.
No, remember what she did?
Yeah.
My favorite thing about sports is when the best player or the best players emulate their head coach, and the fact that her and Flower were both like, "Oh my god!" I love it.
Hey,
Kim was checking because Kim was like, "Baby, I can get her buzz down."
nah,
I'm telling y'all, with what we do, one of these companies, as it relates to what college basketball and the W has done for the bus down, somebody needs to be running these players some money because they mad.
Yeah.
What they have done for the bus down, right? Like
free sponsorship. Come on, y'all flipping dollars. Come
on. Moving along to the other set of games on Saturday. You got TCU and Notre Dame, 1 p.m. on ABC. Texas and Tennessee, 3:30 on ABC. Then later in the evening, you got UConn and Oklahoma, 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. And then you got Southern Cal versus Kansas State at 8 p.m. on ESPN. My quick takes, my heart is with TCU because of Haley Van Lith, but I think Notre Dame should win this. I think I think the potential of them wearing down TCU. TCU, you got Madison Connor, and I think it was Donovan. I don't think they have enough on the perimeter to contend with Notre Dame. I think they kind of exposed it last game when Louisville played TCU. They started trapping and getting the ball out of Haley's hands. Although she was doing a good job getting the ball where it needed to go, but I don't think that could be a constant recipe for them winning if they can't keep up that kind of production from the other players. I think it's going to be a tough game for TCU. Sedona Prince has to have a breakout game to me in order for them to upset Notre Dame. I think Hannah and company is going to be too in tune, ready for the matchup. All three of their perimeter players play defense, let alone score the ball. Now, neither team has a ton of depth, so that's going to be another thing to look out for too. But like I said, my heart's with TCU, but I think Notre Dame will take care of business with that. Now, Tennessee and Texas. When you talk about bipolar teams, Tennessee is almost at the top of the list because when you talk about athletes, they have them. When you talk about shooters, they have them. Like when you talk about defenders, they have them. Like it's just a matter of what Tennessee team is going to show up. They got size, like they got length. Like I think they have everything that you need to beat Texas. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if Tennessee beats Texas. We talked about this before in one of our episodes about the number one seed that we can feel, the least likely to make it to the Final Four. Texas was that team that we said, but like I said, I like Tennessee. They just up and down. Like you just don't know. They came out, they put it on Ohio State. I think they can do the same to Texas. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I really think I think they're gonna come out. They're gonna play loose. They ain't got nothing to lose. I think they can get it done. Now, UConn and Oklahoma, man, UConn. It's different because now it's all neutral site now. Nobody's at home. You don't have that energy. Although a lot of these teams travel in waves, but Reagan Beers, man. She can be a load, man, and I think that it could be a tough matchup for UConn. Of course, I'm rocking with UConn, but man, I really think this could be a 2 to 3 possession game, depending on what kind of contributions Oklahoma can get from their entire team. I think Paige Beckers is on a tour to try to get one. I mean, you don't want to leave UConn as one of the greatest and not have a championship under your belt. And I think that's the type of mission that she's on. And then AZ Fudd, you know, she's already letting you know, like, she's coming back next year. So I think she's going to do her best to try to help her buddy get one. But Sarah Strong, of course, is going to be key. And I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to let y'all chat, man. We'll get to the Southern Cal and Kansas State afterward. But, Bordy, your thoughts on those first three games I mentioned? I know it's a soft spot for you, A. Willie.
Hey, Willie, I'm going to let you get your soapbox for that one. You can start for that one because I know that hurts you deep. But Tennessee and Texas is the one that I'm most Texas does not shoot threes. Texas does not shoot threes. Again, Texas does not shoot threes. And I don't know why the life of me they had not put Mitty Madison, right? Madison is one of the best 2-point shooters, like, period, in the game, right? Why don't you have her on the perimeter a little bit more shooting and attempting from three? Because I think she's like 40% from the deep. I wish that they had a little bit more contributions from that. Even though I know that Tennessee, like you said, you never know what version of them are going to do. And I think that Texas, led by Rory, they are smart enough and athletic enough to break that press, right? If Texas, for whatever reason, if Tennessee does their job and make sure that they clamp down on Madison and then they end up down, I don't believe in their ability to climb themselves out that hole because, unfortunately, with Rory, with the hobbled knee, she's not contributing as much as you want as a scorer because it's harder for her to get looks. And then the pick and roll game is obviously affected. And shout out to Taylor. Taylor Jones has been hooping ever since that Aaliyah Moore went out. Olaker has too. But, like, if Whiteshed, Hollingshed, I apologize, is doing her thing, Whitehorn is doing her thing down low, they can make that, they have the size to at least do a little things and make it harder on them to score, right? And so if Texas is down, question mark, like I said, I'm not completely buying into them. So Tennessee could absolutely win this one. If it's an orange on orange situation, give me Tennessee, man. The legend of Kim Caldwell, baby, flipping that program around in a year. Let's go.
Man,
okay.
lit a fire under him.
Come on, man. I'm telling you. Lit a whole fire underneath them. 1 minute rotate. We rotating everybody out, subbing somebody out every minute. Come on, let's go. UConn versus Oklahoma. You know what, OG, when he talked about Oklahoma being like dogs, I was like, I watch Oklahoma. One of my friends in the stream is like, she really likes Oklahoma, so I watched a lot of Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, their perimeter defense really scares me going against a team that likes to shoot threes in UConn. But rebounding-wise, UConn isn't that great. I think people forget about that. Rebounder-wise, they're not. And Sahara Williams does not get enough love, in addition to Reagan Beers. But Sahara Williams does not get enough love for being a dog when it comes to rebounding and defending as well. Her, Peyton Verhulst, who also doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. Like, they get some rebounds along with Reagan doing her thing with that size advantage down low. I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma actually makes this a little bit scarier. But I wouldn't also be surprised if UConn actually, like, gets some sense and, like, you know, they're able to do their thing around Oklahoma. That one I'm not entirely sure about. I am going more UConn either way, but, like, I'm hoping that Oklahoma can do some things because they got a bright future ahead of them, especially with an announcement that was made we'll talk about. And that last game that we were talking about, what was the other one?
Kansas State and USC.
Oh, Kansas State and USC. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that.
Well, it was a TCU and Notre Dame I don't think you spoke about yet. And Donovan Hunter was the other player that I was talking about for TCU. That's going to have to step up big. Typically her and Madison Connor, when they have great games for TCU, they in good shape. But like I said, Sedona Prince, I'm talking about I need a 20 and 15. 20. Yeah, it's got to be something to, like, really slow down Notre Dame, because I mean Notre Dame wants to get out and transition. They can care less about playing in the half court, but
Sedona frustrates me because you are too dang big to not use your body effectively in order to get rebounds or to score more.
Yeah,
That's my biggest problem with Sedona.
Yeah, we mentioned like she's not a go getter. Like it's more the ball is in her vicinity. She might grab it, but she's not. She doesn't attack the glass per se. But not TCU shoot the ball well. I think they got a shot. But yeah, that was pretty much what I had to say about that game. But yeah.
Yeah, well, real quick with TCU, like I know they beat Notre Dame earlier in the year, but that as a reminder, Notre Dame went cross country from USC, beat USC and Galen Center, then went all the way to the Cayman Islands. The girls were gassed at the beginning of the third quarter. I saw Hannah Hidalgo give up on a transition defense. When has Hannah Hidalgo ever given up on a defensive play? Ever?
Yeah.
Silence speaks for itself, man. So I feel like they'll be a little bit more rested. They'll be ready to go. And he talked about Sedona not attacking the ball. Guess what? Live long and prosper. Candace Prosper, she's going to attack the ball and get the rebound. You know what I mean? Lee Two-Ting, she's going to attack the ball and get it, right?
Prosper and Maddie Westbeld and Leah Two-King, like, love them.
Yes.
Koval is going to, they're going to crowd Sedona Prince with Koval. And especially if the refs are allowing it to be physical, that will be key as it relates to how they defend Sedona Prince. But
well, not to mention in that game, Sedona Prince did happen to have 20 points in the game. They won earlier in the year, 76-68, and Haley Van Lith had 21 too. So that's the type of numbers that they're gonna need. I mean, Notre Dame is not a team like. It's either they don't struggle to score, so that's the thing. So either they score a lot or they score enough. So I think TCU is going to have to they're going to have to get some big contributions from people outside of Prince and Lift, but they're going to need major impacting games from both of them.
Yeah, Nopu and Bigsby are gonna have to shoot some big threes too in order to make sure that things can rock with them. But like, give me Notre Dame in that one. It looks like their defense is finally fixed. Like not finally fixed, like finally back to the aggression that you want. And you talked about trapping Haley Van Lith. Nia Ivy, baby, she in a trap star, baby. It's over here like she's hanging out in Atlanta, baby. Because one thing they know to do, they did it against Juju, they did it against Paige. They know how to trap a good star guard. So I feel like it's going to be Notre Dame's time. They're healthy, and they have a little bit more energy, and they're not going across the country from a big battle on the West Coast and then playing in a different country. So go ahead and give me them.
Yeah. And now the elephant in the room, of course, Southern Cal and Kansas State. I just want to start with Kansas State because I remember, Bordy, you kind of was high on Kansas State when we first started, talking about the tournament. And Sundell showed up big time. Ayoka Lee big time. Like, I mean, it was crazy as the game was going on. I started to look at Kansas State, and I'm like, man, they really got some pieces. Like they're
well coached.
That too, but it's like it goes back to the old theory, the one shining moment. You only need to play well on a game by game basis. Like, and they have some pieces that can do that. I mean, and they showed a lot of fight against Kentucky. I mean, that game could have went either way, and they gutted that out. But definitely, it's going to be a lot to play for USC. When I thought about the impact of them losing Juju, I still looked at the roster and saying we tend not to pay attention to a lot of players on USC because of Juju. And her star power, but people don't, they don't think about the entire team, and then even a lot of the newcomers that have come in for USC that are not All-Americans as well, and a lot of players, as you can see, when she went out there, players was ready to step up and make plays. I don't care about who they were playing or anything like that because if you play sports and you've watched somebody suffer a tough injury like that, and then have to bounce back and play, it's a tough thing to do. And Kiki, I think she has been doing a great job of being a star in her own right, playing next to another star. And I think you've seen where it kicked in, where hey, I got to get it done, and she's more than capable of getting it done. I mean, and she's been in that situation because let's be honest, when she was at Stanford, all the eyes were on Cam, but she was the one getting them out of games. Like so. I think it was no different than what we saw last night. Cameron Brink was who I was referring to, but I think they gonna gut it out. They got talent. It changes the landscape. Of course, you're gonna have your naysayers like, I seen it last night on a few of my posts where people were saying, well, now people they're sharing the ball more and all this and all that. Let me hit the brakes. All that shit is cool until you run up in a situation where you need an elite talent to get a bucket. Like all the ball hogging comments and not passing it, all that's great until you need somebody who's fearless that don't have a problem missing or making a shot when you need one to be taken. And that's the thing. Like I hear everybody talking, I've seen the comments and stuff like that, but we all know every team doesn't have that type of player that's going to go get it and make something happen when you really need something to happen. And that's my take on it in that situation. The only thing that I really want to say, even about the Juju injury, is that, I had a daughter who she tore her ACL twice. And the only thing that when I hear about ACLs and stuff like that is like not rushing to have surgery. A lot of the times because of the swelling, if the swelling isn't reduced, it's a lot of stuff that don't get cleaned up because you don't see it. And a lot of people, who not having been around the game a lot, probably don't know that. But me talking to specialists at the time when it happened to my daughter, like the one of the worst things you can do is rush to have surgery. Luckily for her, youth is on her side, but I definitely don't want to see anything rush, man. The girl got a bright future. She seems like a good overall person. You hate to see stuff like that happen to anyone, but especially to someone of that magnitude. It hurts, man. It just hurts. I'll pass it to you, Bordy, and then, hey, Willie, you let her. Hey, if you don't know, and you're in the chat and you watching and following along, hey, Willie is a California native. Like this is his home turf. So
he should start on it.
Yeah, his son. Yeah, hey, I was letting him take his time, but hey, Willie, you want to chime in?
Go ahead, boy.
Go ahead, boy.
He needs a little bit of time to process. Yeah. Speaking real quickly on the Kansas State game, like, Pondexter doing their thing, like, the size down low is interesting for them. Like, having a Yoka Lee back was amazingly good for them versus Kentucky. And like Serena Sundell, like she can get a bucket from outside or inside in the post game. So that's really good for them. But the Ewing effect is in prime time gear right now when it comes to the Trojans. Ewing effect, if you guys don't know, when one of your star players goes down, everybody, like, there's a mentality: you can be shook or you can rise up and fight on to the occasion, right? So what did the Trojans do?
Fight on.
Come on. Hey, Willie, that's exactly what they did. Fight on. And Kiki, there's one thing that Kiki proved throughout this whole season. There's been a lot of talk about her, unfortunately, and I feel like, unfortunately, Lindsey Golub was a part of blame for that, not putting her in good shots. And there was a point in time where I feel like the confidence probably wasn't there, or like the comfort wasn't there for Kiki. If she showed one thing in that game last night that happened against Mississippi State, is that she is a dog and she will put on the cape. Okay. And that's exactly what she did for this team. Leadership all around. Like, whether it's to stop Rhea Marshall from crashing out, or whether it was to like Carly Heckle was like pushing the ball too much and was like, calm down, it's okay, we got it, right? Kiki really, I think, re-emphasized for anybody who questioned her ability to be a top 5 pick. She is one of those. Okay.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. Not this
Okay.
dude.
Yeah, right. Not this.
Not this.
So we've been talking about her.
Yeah.
Like, she is good. She is fine. She's great. And I think that the freshmen have stepped up in a huge amount of ways. Something for all the slander Lindsey Gottlieb gets for the offense, for the defense, it's evident. Rhea Marshall, Kennedy Smith, even Carly Heckle stepped up a big time, big way in the amount of defense that they played. Their defense is great. And the freshmen, I think for the first time, we talked about this off camera a little bit, like OG, like A Willie, about like the pressure that comes with playing with such a big player, right? Because sometimes it could be like, hey, let me defer to you and let me not do my thing, right? I think they, especially in a dire moment, this is some of the most free that they played. And I don't think that has anything to do with Juju, but them and their belief in self when somebody went down. Like, oh, okay, I believe since she's out, I have to put it on. And then they realize the fact that we can make some good assists, we can pass the ball around, and we can still do it even if Ju isn't there. It had nothing to do with Juju. It's not because of Juju's quote unquote ball hogging, because at the end of the day, they are going to be going against teams like UConn, right? If they go past them, UCLA, right? If they go past them, South Carolina, you are going to need that big shot maker at the end of games, right? And so you need Juju. But for the first time, I think, first time in a long time, they realize, hey, we can play free, and that we can also produce outside of her as well. And sometimes you can get in your head when you have somebody as such a good dominant star. But you know, I was devastated when it happened. I didn't speak. I was on stream for 5 minutes. I didn't speak when I saw Juju went down, and I saw them do the tests. And I could tell that it was probably going to be bad. So I'm just hoping that she doesn't rush the process. OG, you talked about, you have to wait for the swelling to go down. We know Ju is a dog, and you know that she wants to be out there. And she's out there in a lot of games that she probably shouldn't have. Like, she was over here pushing like 35 minutes against like Elon. Why you still, girl? Like, get out, And she likes to push it. And of course, when you hooper, you want to be out there, you want to live in your joy. And even when she got her ankle twisted, she still got back in the game. I think this is probably a realization for her that she doesn't need to push it as much as she needs to, and the game will come to her. She is a dog. She'll be back. If she doesn't, I hope that she doesn't rush this process. And hopefully just teaches her 11 of patience. You don't need to be all the way out there all the time, because your teammates can do it and get it. And I know you want to hoop and ball, but hopefully her body heals and rests and she can come back next year, because especially since we're in March, that's the biggest concern. So I'm hoping the best for Ju, and she's a dog. She'll be all right. But I hope she treats her body a little bit better and realizes that she doesn't always need to be out there,
Well, I'll say this. I mean, we say coaches coach, players play. As a coach, you got to police the players. Like, if the players want to play. Like, I even defend, Ivy for that when we saw Olivia Miles go down. I mean, injuries are going to happen. We get that. But you're up 30, you kind of want, at this time of the year, you kind of want to conserve as much as you can, even though, like I said, injuries can still happen. But my point is, coaches have to decide when players, shouldn't be out there. Because if you leave it up to a player, they'll play 40 minutes. Like
45 at the time allowed. Come on now.
Yeah, no player wants to sit on the bench. So you have to police them from themselves. I'll say that. And then getting back to the USC game, I expect to see in this particular matchup, I want to see a big step up from Kennedy Smith, more so from the offensive end, because she can score. I think as a freshman, she's done a great job of finding her role within a team that was already there before her. But in these moments right now, like, I think she has to become a threat on offense. And then I want to see Rhea Marshall get more aggressive. I think a lot of times they put her in positions where She's capable of scoring or either getting to the free throw line, but she's not always assertive. Those are the two players that I'm going to keep my eye out on in that matchup. And then, you we said enough about Kansas State, but my heart, obviously, is going to be with USC. I really think they can. I think they can win the game. Like I still think the mission is the same. Like it's going to be a little tougher, of course, but I think the mission is still the same, and it's going to be a dogfight either way. Because the funny thing about it is, on the other side, everybody is anticipating from the jump when they see the bracket, they're looking at USC and UConn, but both of these teams got to come out and fight now. Like it's not going to be it won't be a cakewalk. This could be literally two games where we can see the winner on both sides not being the team that we expected it to be. Things can happen. I think you can't sleep on Oklahoma. Like they literally, if they're a team that if the right things get to rolling at the right time, they can be tough to beat. And we saw that in the Iowa game. Like they literally just took off from Iowa. I mean, you expect. Yeah, you expect strong inside play from Oklahoma, but when you start seeing shots fall and you start seeing, role players playing like star players, you can be in for a long night. And that kind of, piggybacking off of what you were saying about a lot of what we saw from USC when Juju went down as players, some players get in the habit of deferring and they kind of lose themselves, but I don't think that's ever been the case with USC. I think they all fed off Juju. Like and now it's going to be more so that she's not there. They know that they're going to have to step their game up. I think it's one of those things. I get so tired of these bullshit narratives that people try to create when we know we've been taught since we was kids. It's the best player on every team. It's the best player on every team. Guess what? If you don't have a best player on your team probably sucks. Like literally. Like it's my coach taught me at a young age when I got to middle school. He said, Ivan, it's only going to be one or two people to get accolades at the end of the year. You might be one of them, you might not, but it's only going to be one or two. So always focus on winning. Like if you're not one of the guys, focus on winning because only one or two people going to get the credit. And I live and die by that, even as a player, as a coach, and now as a sports advocate and junkie. It's the same thing. Like you can ask all those girls in the locker room would they want Juju back, and they say yeah in a heartbeat. So yeah. So enough of that. Prayers go out to Juju. Moving along, kind of keeping it on pace a little bit, but Holly Rowe. I made some interesting comments referring to the crowd that Juju attracts, in reference to it being like the BET Awards. And me personally, this is where the troll in me comes out, man. I don't have enough sensitivity in my body to get in an uproar about everything. Like, literally. It's 2025. The same things can't be affecting you every day. Like at some point, man, you got to see the innocence in some situations. Now, no, of course, there are some situations where people are really showing their true colors, but I don't think this is the case. Holly Rowe, she's been invested in the game for a long time. She's been covering sports for a long time. She's one of the most noticeable media figures in the women's games specifically. I don't think she met anything bad. And come on, brothers and sisters, if we being real, the same people that's at Juju games are the same people who go to the BET Awards. So what are we mad about? Like, we just want to be mad. Like, if anything, I think she was kind of paying homage to the respect that Juju gets when she suits up. Like, people want to come out and see her play. And that's my spill on it. I'm going to pass the rock to you guys. Border your thoughts on Holly Rowe and her comment.
Holly just has foot and mouth disease. Like, she's always had that. Like, always in her career. Always. I think for fans, it's just a culmination of the fact that, and I think this is ESPN direct. not her. ESPN really loves to harp on like stories, and they like trauma stories. As a reminder, it's not just Holly Rowe that loves to ask people what happened to your dog. You just got drafted. Congratulations. Your dog died in the third grade, and that really affected your career. How does that really impact you? And is your dog proud of you now that you are in their happiest moment being drafted right now? You know, like ESPN does that. They did that for the NFL draft, especially in the 2021. They did that for the WNBA draft, and I think that's an ESPN directive more than Holly. But it's just a case of Holly uh, just has a really bad case of foot and mouth disease. It's okay. It's Holly. She's a respected commentator. You do have to watch what you say in certain audiences. I will say that, but it was more like, oh, I'm not calling for her to get fired. Let me just say that. I'm not calling for her to get fired.
Hey, Willie, your thoughts?
I agree with everything y'all said. Like, you know, I don't. It is. I didn't. I got other things to be upset about other than Holly Rowe saying that. But you know, it's really it's a a testament to. I actually like that if she meant it in this way. I actually like that people that look like us are going out there to support Juju, and coming to see this USC team. Because for me, right, like if this isn't related to us, because we watch women's basketball regardless, right? So when you start talking about the game growing and you start talking about viewership growing and all the opportunities around women's basketball growing, they ain't talking about us, right? We don't move the needle because if they were playing outside in the middle of the street, we were going to watch anyway. So they ain't talking about us, right? So if Snoop Dogg and Jaden Daniels and all them are going to the games, then that's great. That is great because again, we are seeing this game really, and I'm not pitting Caitlin Clark and Juju against each other like people do, but I'm just saying a lot of times Caitlin Clark, her core fan base may be different than Juju's core fan base. But the point is that both of those core fan bases are watching, right?
Right.
And that's what helps the game grow, where you have these diverse groups of people watching the sport. Like as we know, I'm in my feelings about Juju. Anybody that's watching this, y'all know too, that's been walking with us. Your boy loves professional wrestling, right? I'm in my feelings about Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Trinity Fatu. I'm in my feelings, right? But I say that because wrestling is also like when Marvel releases a movie. People think that it's just people that lives in their mom's basement that's watching these things. But these movies, when Marvel releases it, when the movie comes out, it always debuts at number one, right?
Right.
And when they start talking about the ratings for cable TV, professional wrestling is always number one. That's because a whole lot of people are watching it. Yeah, that person that who they think is the quote unquote stereotypical wrestling fan is watching. Same with women's basketball. But when you start seeing this growth and development, it's a whole lot of other people that's watching. And they are the ones that move the needle. So I really, if it's going to make women's basketball continue to grow, if it's going to ultimately make the stories and the ratings for the W continue to grow, they need to be playing all these damn games in NBA arenas, right? When it relates to the W. So if Jaden Daniels and you know, whoever makes up the BET crowd, whoever makes that up, is at the game, then hey, I'm all for it. The last time I checked, I'm gonna say this real quick. The last time I checked, when you start looking at the programs that are on BET, right? Sometimes Martin comes on BET, right?
Right.
Go into your office in corporate America and see how many people that don't look like us watch Martin, right? How many people that don't look like us watch the Fresh Prince, right? So again, for these shows, if you looking at the quote unquote demographics of the United States, on any given day, we make up 12% of the population. So for anything that we do to really, really capture the attention, yes, our culture sets the tone, but for it to really set it on fire and to capture the attention of the world, other people that don't look like us watch. So when you talk about the BET audience, you talk about a whole bunch of people that don't look like us that's watching too. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Period.
Got you. Coach Larry Vickers was the head coach at Norfolk State. They battled a gritty game against Maryland before getting eliminated from the tournament, but almost in less than 24 hours, he was named the head coach for Auburn. Now, this man was accomplished. He did his thing at Norfolk State. 177 wins, 4 MEAC titles, 3 NCAA trips. You know, coached some great players who recently today I think are in the portal, more than likely traveling to Auburn with him. And
More damn Eagle.
and I get that. I mean, just shout outs to him, man. Like, you get a job, wherever you get it, you maximize it. We're talking about a man, who is going from a 200K salary to almost half a mil with resources. That's going to change the game. And the one thing that I've seen about a lot of people commenting about him is that they flat out say he can coach, man. And so along with it is Kiera Willer, who's 3-time All MEAC, 2-time MEAC tournament MVP. DeBriya Clark, third team All MEAC this year, and then Ajane Richardson, AJ. She was a MEAC 6th person of the year. So I mean, hey, that's the name of the game, and see, that's why, like back in the day, before we, when people are talking about now, you hear them bitching and crying about the NILs. You hear a whole lot about the portal, but coaches didn't take players with them. Coaches, they would leave it. They would recruit a whole class and be out the door the next year, and that class is just stuck. Like, what am I gonna do? At least now, these coaches, they take other jobs and they take players with them. And now, imagine, you commit to this coach at Norfolk State coming out of high school or JUCO or whatever, and now you got a chance to go play in the SEC. Like, I couldn't think of nothing better as a player. And then as him as a coach, man, like, that's the name of the game. You dominate at whatever level you at, and then you get a chance to move up. You do so. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think, I had talked about it off air, but how many African-American coaches were in the NCAA tournament? It was a lot, at a lot of these schools. Recognizing the talent, being, seen more than just motivators and recruiters, because that's the constant stigma that goes on. But I'm happy for this guy. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Auburn. I watched Norfolk State in the that particular game in the tournament. But shouts out to him, and I'm definitely going to be rooting for him. I know. Recruiting in the SEC is tough, but it has to be better than where he was at. I mean, and that's no shot to the MEAC or anything like that. But I'm saying that basically because of the nature of the sport now. Like, coaches are replacing teams every year, everywhere. Like in the lower tier schools, the lower tier schools are catching the grunt worse than anybody because they don't have the same resources or the same attraction as some of the big schools. So, like I say, hats off to him. Your thoughts real quick on Coach Larry Vickers.
I'll just say this as a HBCU graduate and alum. I've seen the facility differences from being in a HBCU, then we travel to like a bigger school and you could see a palpable difference. So I'm glad that he has that ability. And I think part of the reason, unfortunately, that he has this spotlight, and hopefully it doesn't take something like this, but shout out to Diamond Johnson, going from NC State and then going to Norfolk. I feel like it added an extra spotlight on the Norfolk program. And deciding to go to an HBCU was fundamentally like very important for more of a spotlight on HBCUs and the talents that they can attract. And I think that allowed for him to get a little bit more shine light, a little more way to where he could actually get an opportunity to coach at the SEC team. Because, like you said, a lot of these players, a lot of these coaches, for whatever reason, they're funneled into different roles, and you can't get to this level. So, because she decided, hey, I'm going to go to an HBCU, in part, of course, they had to earn a lot. It's because of him as well. But I'm saying that added a little bit more spotlight for him to get the opportunity to be to where they are. And hopefully, I want HBCUs to not have spectacle or to not have other players transfer in. How can we get a spotlight just by being as accomplished as we are without people saying, hey, that it's a risk to take an opportunity to go for him? No one talked about it being risky for the GCU head coach to go ahead and go coach at Arizona State, but there was a talk about him being a risk and getting him to go to Auburn and the SEC team. So the fact that HBCUs and people at HBCUs are getting the spotlight and the opportunity is great, and I hope that this is a trend that continues, because there's so many capable players that now have an opportunity at playing SEC ball, and who knows where the rest of their career might go. And also, he has an opportunity to show that HBCU coaches are just as capable in the SEC and in other places too. So again, shout out to him, great level up, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
No doubt. Hey, Willie, you want to chime in real quick?
Yeah, I think for me, a couple of things to pay attention to, because I think about these things a lot. So what it shines when you start talking about both of the programs. I'm familiar with both of the facilities at Eccles where Norfolk State plays, and so when you start talking about what happens on in the lower levels, in particular the HBCU. So we had the men's coach talk about the fact that we are a little bit we are disrespected because we came in here as the 16 seed, right? Then you had Coach Vickers talking about the lack of respect as it relates to how they're officiating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that it really made me think about is part of the reason why, especially in these state schools that are HBCUs. And for all the people that are rocking with us live, I love numbers. Y'all know that I'm always talking about numbers and contracts and things like that. Do yourself a favor and Google, from starting in 1987, how severely underfunded the state HBCUs are, right? Go and look at it. So, meaning underfunded, meaning the money that they are supposed to get from their respective states that they either have not been receiving or they've been receiving just a small amount of what they should be have received. This is from 1987. So do yourself a favor and go look that up. You can just Google it and you'll see the schools and you will see the respective states. And so now these schools are having to deal with that. You see that as they deal with it from an academic standpoint. You see that as they deal with it from the facilities, from an athletic standpoint as well. So that's something to really, really call out as it relates to what's going on at HBCUs and why it's going on. The other thing I'll say about Auburn, what his hire stood out for me as well, because again, there are a lot of people that, and I'm inclined to believe this somewhat, there are a lot of people that believe that the previous coach at Auburn didn't get enough time. That could be argued,
Yes.
right? That could be argued, and that is a valid point. But I will say this on behalf of Auburn. We still live in a world in 2025, right? And for all the people that, when you say things, people immediately go to extremes. So nobody is saying that this doesn't happen at all, what I'm about to point out. but it's rare that it happens where a high major school, especially a high major school that's playing in the SEC, right, will hire 2 black coaches back to back. So the fact that they hired another black coach is something that we don't really get to see a lot, right? And you see it on the women's side, and you definitely see it on the men's side. Texas had a black coach. They quickly don't have a black coach, right? and that's kind of the norm that we see, especially to what you mentioned, OG, earlier, as it relates to if you watch, and what people do is we do this in our relationships, and they do this on the athletic side, overcorrect, right? If the black coach is known as a motivator, which is crazy, motivator and connector, then when they hire a white coach, that white coach is discipline, right? If they overcorrect, right? And then if that person that is discipline doesn't work, they overcorrect and hire somebody you're just a relationship guy and that's it, right? But the fact that Auburn hired a black coach back to back in 2025 is something that is somewhat monumental because we don't see that a lot.
No, that's a good call out. I mean, it typically doesn't happen, but the one thing I'd like is just we in the era right now that, I mean, we didn't get it. You didn't get hardly any time before, but you definitely not getting that much time now. Like it's almost to be expected. Like
portal jumping.
Act 2 right now. 700 there.
Hey, and we definitely gonna expand on the portal and what's going on. We'll probably do that after the tournament because it's really gonna get to jumping. But what I was saying is, like, with the way players are going in and out, your livelihood is in danger every year because you don't know. Like and see, it used to be a case where a player may leave because they're not getting playing time or they losing or what. Nah, man, the other team offer more money. Other school offer more money. I'm out of there because you got to think of it. If we being realistic, it's never going to be the players who for sure are going to be lottery picks. Like they don't have to hop around. It's going to be those ones teetering in the middle that might be a second rounder or something like that. And they just trying to get all the money they can get before the time is up. Not at all. I mean, and I'm going to say this and we can move on, but a lot of people are mad about NILs and the portal and all that. First of all, if NCAA has nothing to do with scholastic stuff. Nothing.
Please.
For all of you people who don't know anything about the NCAA, they don't care about who get a scholarship. They don't care about who get an educate. They care about the money, y'all.
$1 bills, y'all.
That's it. And that's all it's ever been about. The NCAA was brought in to organize sports and monetize it. That was it. Point blank. So now, the players are recouping money that they from people 30, 40 years ago should have been getting.
And they're still not getting paid enough if we're being real.
No.
Honestly.
I mean, you think about it. A kid. Now, I go back some years ago. A kid from the hood get a scholarship to a big time D1 school. They can't afford for their parents to travel to a lot of games. But if the school would have got them tickets to the game, then it's a violation. Now, you tell me, is that anything that cares about kids and their well-being? Not at all. It's all about control and money. That's all it's ever been, and and that's all I'm gonna say. I ain't even gonna jump on no soapbox about that. But let's stop confusing it too, because you still see people say, "Oh man, they should be worried about getting the scholarship and the degree, and that should be no."
It's basically amateurism, and I wish we would admit it.
Yeah, you talking. You they say that about a kid who just made the university $1 million, and he didn't see none. He or she didn't see any of it, and that they should be cool with that. Like that sound like something. That sound like something to me, and I ain't gonna say what it is, but that's exactly what it is. Like, and that's what it was, and now
No question.
and now they finally getting paid.
Yeah, I'd say real quick, I'll just add to that. So to your point, I think people get it confused when they don't follow this the way we do, right? NIL is not revenue sharing. I'm just gonna
Right?
leave it at that. The schools
No,
ain't sharing money.
no, no. Just to cap it off for the show, Aaliyah Chavez, #1 player in the country, finally committed earlier today on ESPN. She chose the Boomer Sooners, Oklahoma University. We talked about this offline earlier, just about our thoughts why she chose Oklahoma. But and Bordy, I'm gonna let you lead with this because you said exactly what I thought after I thought about it. But just real quick on her committing to on Aaliyah Chavez committing to Oklahoma.
So yeah, and I'm glad that we literally had that NIL conversation right before we talked about her because it's an important part of her story. Shout out to Aaliyah Chavez. I actually first knew about her last summer. She actually followed my stream. Shout out to her. And I went to a couple of her expedition games and realized that she's a player that likes to put up shots and is a player that likes to get hers too, right? She be hooping that thing, man. She be shooting that thing too, man. There's a reason why she scored like what? She scored like 127 or something in a game in high school, just like this past season. She was shooting that thing, right? And a lot of her options, right? She had like options. She really liked her visit to UCLA, but you know that like that whole class won't be coming out until next year, right? She really liked Texas. That was close to home, right? But Rory's still there. Madison is still there, right? There's also other teams like South Carolina wouldn't allow her to put up the usage I'm sure that she probably wants to put up. And then the LSU just had a big recruiting class that just came in. Aaliyah likes to put the ball in a hoop. She wants to be close to home. And then we just talked about NIL. A lot of people, for whatever reason, were calling her selfish for demanding as much money that we talked about with NIL. But as a reemphasization, like to reemphasize, it's not revenue sharing when it comes to these big schools. And you never know how her career will pan out, right? Lord forbid something happens. I hope that doesn't happen because she's a special hooper, right? But you want to make as much money as possible because birds in hand, right? Rather than forecasting. You could make a lot of money in the pros, but I'd rather get my bag now because I don't know what the future holds. So her wanting to go to a school that's going to pay her, be close to home, but allow her high usage. Oklahoma fit all the way, all the other options. A lot of those guards were graduates and only I call her a minivan, right? Shout out to Skylar fan. That's a big van, but then you got the minivan in a Zaya van. Like she's the only other guard that they really have. And they really need like a point guard that will carry and that will be high usage. Because shout out to Sahara Williams and Peyton Verhulst. Like they're not the ones putting up a whole bunch of big shot, like they'll take shots and they'll make shots, but it's really like Reagan Beers that's a centralized focus. So if you have another player like that, and I think that they're about to add like another defender too, this Oklahoma team is actually going to be pretty jumping next year. Maybe have Elite 8+ visions, you know? So I like her choice to go to Oklahoma. A lot of people were confused, but of all the options, it literally just made sense.
Right. Now I know Bordy got to get out of here. Hey Willie, you got something real quick you want to say about that, or did Bordy say it all?
No, Bordy said it all. The quick thing I'll say just when you start looking at players, oftentimes when you don't have an elite level of size, you don't have elite athleticism, you got to go to the right place, the right stage where you can really leverage your talents and develop. She chose a place where she could get all the reps that she can possibly get so she can be greater later in the future. So I ain't got no problem with it at all.
Nah, no doubt. I'm no doubt.
Revenue share. And like Bordy said, NIL is not revenue sharing. So all you people saying that these players, the schools are paying, no. NIL is not revenue sharing.
Hey, real quick before we get out of here, I just want to thank my homeboy Steele for stopping by. Of course, my beautiful girlfriend, she was in there. My cousin, Cassie Chantel, who does a damn good job covering women's sports in general. Follow her on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. She really gets it done. And Alexis Allen was in here as well. I appreciate y'all stopping through. This is our first time going live. We'll probably be doing it more. Russell Wilson is a Giant, and Stephon Diggs is a Patriot, and I'm gonna leave it at that. And we'll probably hop into that tomorrow and talk about that. But as I always say, I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch us on the next episode.